The Bever Brothers, A Family's Nightmare. On a sweltering July evening in 2015, the quiet suburb of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, became the backdrop for one of the most harrowing family murders in American history. Inside a modest two-story home, two brothers, Robert, 18, and Michael Bever, 16, carried out a plan so horrifying it would forever shatter the illusion of safety in their idyllic neighborhood. The Bever brothers' story is not just one of violence but of obsession, manipulation, and a chilling glimpse into the depths of human depravity. The brothers and their obsession. From the outside, the Bever family seemed unremarkable. David and April Bever were devout parents raising 7 children in a conservative household. But beneath the surface, their eldest sons, Robert and Michael, harbored a deadly secret. Both brothers were obsessed with serial killers and mass shootings, spending hours online researching infamous murderers. Their fixation grew darker as they dreamed of surpassing the infamy of their idols. They wanted to make history, their names etched alongside the world's most notorious killers. A plan for infamy. 4 months. The brothers meticulously plotted the annihilation of their family. They amassed an arsenal of weapons, including knives and tactical gear. Their goal was not only to kill their parents and siblings but also to embark on a nationwide killing spree, targeting random strangers in pursuit of a body count that would bring them notoriety. On the night of July 22, 2015, they decided to put their sinister plan into motion. The night of horror. The carnage began just after midnight. The brothers lured their 13-year-old sister, Crystal, into a bedroom under the pretense of showing her something on the computer. As she leaned in, Robert slashed her throat. Crystal screamed, alerting their mother, April, who rushed to the scene. April begged for her life, but the brothers showed no mercy. They stabbed her over 40 times, killing her in a frenzied attack. Their father, David, tried to intervene but was overpowered. He suffered more than 50 stab wounds. The younger siblings became their next targets. 12-year-old Daniel managed to call 911 during the attack, his desperate plea for help echoing through the line. But before officers could arrive, Michael pretended to comfort Daniel before stabbing him to death. The rampage continued with 7-year-old Christopher and 5-year-old Victoria, who were both killed in equally brutal fashion. Upstairs, the youngest sibling, a 2-year-old girl, was spared unintentionally. Perhaps, or because the brothers planned to decapitate her later. The aftermath and arrest. Police arrived within minutes of Daniel's 911 call, finding the home in chaos. Blood soaked the floors, and the house was eerily silent. Robert and Michael attempted to flee into the woods but were apprehended shortly after. When questioned, the brothers confessed without hesitation. They spoke about their plans to dismember their family, stash the bodies in the attic, and use the family car to carry out mass shootings. Their calmness and lack of remorse shocked investigators. The survivors. Miraculously, 2 family members survived: Crystal, who despite her severe injuries managed to escape and later testify against her brothers, and the 2-year-old girl, who was unharmed. Crystal's testimony was chilling. She described her brothers' detached demeanor and their methodical planning. Her bravery during the trial helped secure justice for the murdered family members. Justice served. In 2016, Robert Bever pleaded guilty to all 5 murders to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to life without parole. Michael, tried as an adult despite his age, received the same sentence. During his incarceration, Robert attempted suicide and later attacked a prison officer with a sharpened object. Michael, who claimed to have been manipulated by his older brother, showed moments of regret but could not escape his fate. A community forever changed. The Bever murders left an indelible scar on Broken Arrow. The home where the killings took place was demolished in 2019, replaced by a park to honor the victims. Yet, the shadow of that horrific night lingers. A reminder of the unimaginable depths of human cruelty. The unanswered questions. What drives two young men from a seemingly ordinary family to commit such an atrocity? Was it the isolation of their upbringing? Their obsession with violence? Or a deadly combination of both? The Bever brothers' story provides no easy answers. Only a grim reflection on the fragility of human connections and the dangers of unchecked darkness. Even now, the mere mention of their names chills those who remember the night the Bever brothers turned their home into a house of horrors.
The haunting justice of James Watson, a crime buried for decades. It was a crisp, overcast day in Peterborough, England, on November 28, 1994, the kind of day that invites children to play in heavy coats, laughing as their breath fogs in the chilly air. For Ricky Neve, a 6-year-old boy with a heart full of energy and mischief, it was an ordinary day, or so it seemed. By nightfall, ordinary would twist into tragedy, and his name would become forever etched in the annals of British crime. When Ricky's mother, Ruth Neve, reported him missing, worry quickly escalated to dread. Less than 24 hours later, Ricky's small, lifeless body was discovered in a wooded area, unclothed and arranged eerily. The cause of death was clear: strangulation. The investigation began swiftly, and it didn't take long for suspicions to fall on Ruth herself. Ruth was a single mother living under immense social scrutiny, battling addiction and a history of volatile behavior. The media was relentless, painting her as the archetype of the bad mother. Arrest followed, and in 1996, she stood trial for Ricky's murder. Yet the evidence against her was circumstantial at best. Though convicted of unrelated charges of child cruelty, Ruth was acquitted of murder. The case went cold, and Ricky's true killer seemed to vanish into the ether. But time, as it often does, proved to be an ally of justice. In 2016, a re-examination of the evidence was launched, powered by modern forensic techniques that had been unimaginable 2 decades earlier. Among the items tested was Ricky's clothing. Hidden within its fibers lay the breakthrough investigators had sought for years: DNA that didn't belong to Ruth, but to another figure long overlooked, James Watson. Watson was just 13 years old when Ricky was murdered. He was a troubled child, with a history of erratic behavior and a dark fascination with younger boys. In 1994, Watson had been briefly questioned by police after Ricky's death, but released without charge. His juvenile demeanor and lack of immediate ties to the crime shielded him from deeper scrutiny. The DNA findings brought Watson back into focus, and the investigation quickly unraveled a chilling narrative. When confronted, Watson claimed that his DNA might have been transferred to Ricky's clothing when he lifted the boy to let him see over a fence. But investigators dismantled his story. The fence in question didn't even exist in 1994. As the net closed in, Watson fled to Portugal, where he lived as a drifter. But evasion only delayed the inevitable. He was extradited back to the UK, standing trial in 2022 at the age of 44. In court, the prosecution wove a story bolstered by the unyielding DNA evidence and Watson's inability to explain it away. After deliberations, the jury delivered their verdict: guilty. Watson was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 15 years before parole could even be considered. For many, this was justice delayed but not denied. The case of James Watson is a haunting reminder of the resilience of truth. It underscores how advancements in technology can breathe new life into old mysteries, holding even the most elusive perpetrators accountable. For Ricky Neve, a boy whose life was stolen far too soon, the verdict stands as a solemn promise that his story, though tragic, was never forgotten. In the stillness of a courtroom, with decades of silence finally shattered, the echoes of that promise linger. Justice, no matter how long it takes, always finds its voice.